Have you ever wondered why a certain person keeps showing up in your thoughts? It could be an ex, a crush, a close friend, or even someone you barely know. No matter what you do, they seem to occupy your mind. Sometimes at the most unexpected moments. It's as if they have taken up permanent residence in your thoughts, without any explanation. But why does this happen? Is it just a random glitch in your brain? Is it love? Is it an obsession? Or is there a deeper reason that you haven't yet uncovered? If this happens to you often, don't worry, you're not alone. It's a common psychological experience, and the reason behind it is far more fascinating than you might think. According to Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists of all time, this phenomenon is no coincidence. In fact, the person lingering in your mind might be a clue to understanding yourself better. You see, our thoughts are not always as random as they seem. Our unconscious mind holds hidden emotions, memories, and desires that we don't always recognize. And when a certain person keeps coming to your mind, it could be your unconscious mind trying to send you a message. Now you might be wondering, does this mean that person is thinking about you too? Is this a sign of something deeper, like destiny, or fate? Or is your mind just playing tricks on you? The answer is hidden deep within your subconscious mind, and Carl Jung's theories can help us decode it. Most people assume that thinking about someone repeatedly must mean they have an emotional attachment to that person. But psychology tells a different story. Carl Jung believed that our unconscious mind is far more powerful than we realize. It doesn't just store memories and emotions. It also influences our thoughts in ways we don't always understand. So when someone keeps appearing in your thoughts, it might not mean what you think it does. Some possible reasons could be, none. They remind you of an unresolved memory or past experience. None. They have qualities that your subconscious mind is drawn to, or fears. None. Your mind is using them as a symbol to communicate something important to you. In Jungian psychology, the people we fixate on often represent hidden parts of ourselves. So when you can't stop thinking about someone, it's possible that the real issue isn't about them, it's about something within you. If you truly want to understand why a certain person is always on your mind, you need to explore the deeper psychological forces at play. Carl Jung introduced several groundbreaking concepts that explain how our unconscious mind affects our thoughts and emotions. He believed that our repeated thoughts about certain people are not accidental. They are signals from the subconscious. What we will explore in this video. To fully understand this phenomenon, we will break it down using 4 of Carl Jung's most famous psychological theories. 1. The shadow self. Are you thinking about this person because they reflect a hidden part of yourself that you haven't acknowledged? Mode 2. Anima and Animus. Does your unconscious mind create an idealized image of a person based on your internal relationship blueprint? 3. Projection. Are your thoughts about this person actually reflections of your own fears, desires, or insecurities? 4. Synchronicity. Is it just a coincidence that you keep thinking about them, or is there a deeper universal connection at play? These 4 theories will help us uncover the real reason why someone is stuck in your mind and how you can use this knowledge for self-growth. Most people believe that thinking about someone repeatedly means that person has some special hold over them. But the truth is, if you don't understand why these thoughts are happening, they can start to control you. However, once you decode what your mind is really trying to tell you, you can, when solo no wonder, understand your subconscious desires and fears. When solo no wonder, use these thoughts as a tool for self-discovery, instead of feeling trapped by them. Carl Jung famously said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." This means that if you don't take the time to understand your thoughts, they will continue to influence your life without you even realizing it. But once you gain awareness, you can start to take control of your mind, instead of letting it control you. So are you ready to uncover the truth behind why this person keeps appearing in your thoughts? Let's begin by exploring the hidden workings of your mind, because that's where all the answers truly lie. Imagine your mind as a massive iceberg floating in the ocean. The part you can see above the water represents your conscious thoughts, everything you are actively aware of, like your daily routines, decisions, and logical thinking. But beneath the surface, hidden under the water, lies a much larger and more powerful part of your mind, your subconscious and unconscious mind. Carl Jung believed that this hidden part of our mind is where most of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are shaped. It contains everything from forgotten memories to suppressed emotions, desires, fears, and unprocessed experiences. And here's where it gets interesting. When someone repeatedly appears in your thoughts, it's not always because you want to think about them. It's often because your subconscious is trying to tell you something. But why does this happen? What does it mean when someone occupies your thoughts without your conscious control? Let's break it down step by step. Imagine your mind as a massive iceberg floating in the ocean. The part you can see above the water represents your conscious thoughts, everything you are actively aware of, like your daily routines, decisions, and logical thinking. But beneath the surface, hidden under the water, lies a much larger and more powerful part of your mind, your subconscious and unconscious mind. Carl Jung believed that this hidden part of our mind is where most of our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors are shaped. It contains everything from forgotten memories to suppressed emotions, desires, fears, and unprocessed experiences. And here's where it gets interesting. When someone repeatedly appears in your thoughts, it's not always because you want to think about them. It's often because your subconscious is trying to tell you something. But why does this happen? What does it mean when someone occupies your thoughts without your conscious control? Let's break it down step by step. Neuroscience has shown that your brain is wired to recognize patterns and link emotions to memories. This means that whenever you feel a strong emotional reaction towards someone, your brain tries to connect that feeling to something familiar from the past. If someone makes you feel safe and happy, your mind connects them to past feelings of comfort. If someone frustrates or confuses you, your mind may link them to an unresolved personal issue. Carl Jung took this idea further and suggested that we don't just think about people randomly, we see reflections of ourselves in them. The way we feel about others is often a mirror of something deeper happening within us. For example, if someone's confidence fascinates you, maybe deep down you wish you could be more confident. If someone's arrogance annoys you, maybe you have hidden fears of being perceived as arrogant yourself. This is why the people who stay in our minds the longest are often the ones who reflect something important about our inner world. Carl Jung believed that our unconscious mind isn't just a storage space for memories. It actively shapes our thoughts, behaviors, and emotions. He argued that when someone occupies your thoughts, it might not be about them at all. It might be about you. He introduced a concept called the shadow self, which suggests that we all have hidden parts of ourselves that we don't fully acknowledge. Sometimes, when we think about someone constantly, it's because they represent a part of our own personality that we haven't fully accepted or understood. For example, if you keep thinking about someone's kindness, maybe your mind is encouraging you to be more kind. If you can't stop thinking about someone's emotional distance, maybe you have your own unresolved fears about relationships. This means that thinking about someone isn't always about them. It's about what they reflect back to you. Instead of feeling frustrated by these repetitive thoughts, you can use them as a tool for self-discovery. The next time you catch yourself thinking about someone, ask yourself, what emotions do I feel when I think about this person? Do they remind me of someone from my past? What qualities in them do I admire or dislike? Is my mind trying to send me a message about my own desires or fears? By analyzing your thoughts in this way, you can turn an obsessive mental loop into a roadmap for personal growth. If you keep thinking about someone, it's not just random. There's a reason behind it. Your subconscious mind is always at work, trying to process emotions, recognize patterns, and resolve unfinished business. The people who stay in your thoughts often reflect something important about yourself, your past, your emotions, or even your future desires. Instead of feeling stuck in an endless loop, use these thoughts as a sign to explore your own inner world. Carl Jung once said, "Who looks outside, dreams; who looks inside, awakes." This means that, if you spend all your time focusing on the outside world, you might stay lost in thought. But if you turn inward and understand your mind, you can unlock powerful self-awareness. Now that we've uncovered how your unconscious mind influences your thoughts, let's go deeper. In the next section, we'll explore Jung's concept of the shadow self, the hidden part of you that might be shaping your thoughts more than you realize. Have you ever admired someone so much that it almost felt overwhelming? Or maybe there's a person who annoys you to no end, and you can't understand why. What if I told you that your feelings about them might have nothing to do with them at all? Carl Jung believed that the way we feel about others, whether admiration or irritation, is often a reflection of something hidden inside ourselves. This idea is part of Jung's shadow self theory. He proposed that every person has a shadow, a hidden side of their personality that they ignore, deny, or suppress, because it doesn't fit their ideal self-image. For example, if you consider yourself a kind and humble person, you might deny that you have any arrogance. But that arrogant side still exists in your subconscious. If you believe you are always confident, you might suppress your moments of insecurity, rather than acknowledging them. The shadow self is made up of all these unrecognized and unaccepted parts of ourselves. And the most fascinating part, we often see our own shadow in others, rather than recognizing it in ourselves. From childhood, we are taught to act in a way that is socially acceptable. We learn what behaviors are praised, and what traits are criticized. Over time, we start identifying with the good parts of ourselves, and suppress the parts that are not accepted. If being outspoken was discouraged in your family, you might grow up believing you are a naturally quiet person, denying the bold, expressive side within you. If showing vulnerability was seen as a weakness, you may suppress emotions and see yourself as strong, while deep down you struggle with expressing feelings. But here's the thing, just because you ignore these parts of yourself, doesn't mean they disappear. Instead, they go into the subconscious mind and become your shadow. And here's where things get interesting. When you see someone who embodies the qualities you have suppressed, your mind reacts strongly. Jung believed that we unconsciously project our shadow self onto other people. This means that when you admire or dislike someone intensely, it's often because they represent a part of yourself that you have ignored or suppressed. Admiration. Seeing your lost potential in others. Ever met someone who seems so confident, creative, or charismatic that you can't help but be drawn to them? You might assume that you admire them simply because of their qualities. But in reality, it's often because they reflect a hidden part of you that you haven't fully embraced. Example, you admire a person's confidence because deep down, you wish you were more confident. Your mind is drawn to them because they embody something that is actually within you. It's just been pushed into your shadow. Example, you are inspired by someone's creativity. It could be because your own creative side has been neglected, and your subconscious is reminding you of it. Jung believed that admiration is a clue. It reveals what we want to develop in ourselves. Instead of just admiring someone, ask yourself, what specific quality do I admire in them? Is this a quality I have within me but haven't developed yet? How can I integrate this quality into my own life? By answering these questions, you can turn admiration into self-growth. Now, let's look at the opposite situation. Have you ever disliked someone instantly, without knowing exactly why? Maybe they weren't rude or mean, yet something about them bothered you deeply. Jung believed that when someone irritates us without a clear reason, it's often because they represent a part of ourselves that we have rejected. Example, you can't stand someone because they're arrogant, but deep down you might fear that you have arrogance too, and so you deny it completely. Example, you find someone's emotional sensitivity annoying, but maybe that's because you were raised to suppress your own emotions and seeing someone express theirs makes you uncomfortable. This is called projection. We project our hidden qualities onto others, seeing them in others instead of acknowledging them in ourselves. So the next time someone bothers you for no logical reason, ask yourself, what exactly about them irritates me? Could this be a trait that exists within me, but I am refusing to see it? Is there something I need to acknowledge and work on within myself? By reflecting on these questions, you can use your irritation as a tool for self-awareness. Instead of denying or suppressing your shadow self, Jung believed we should integrate it into our conscious mind. This means recognizing the traits we have ignored or suppressed, accepting them as part of who we are, using them in a healthy and balanced way. For example, if you admire someone's confidence, instead of feeling like you lack it, start embracing and practicing confidence in your own life. If you dislike someone's arrogance, instead of just resenting it, ask yourself if you need to develop more self-assertion in a healthy way. By integrating your shadow, you become a more balanced and self-aware person. The next time someone fascinates or frustrates you, don't just react emotionally. Instead, see it as a clue. Your mind is trying to show you something about yourself. If you admire someone, explore what hidden potential they might be reflecting back to you. If you dislike someone, ask if they represent something within yourself that you are suppressing. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." This means that true self-awareness comes not from ignoring our hidden sides, but from recognizing, accepting, and integrating them. Understanding your shadow self is a powerful step toward personal growth. But there's still more to uncover. In the next section, we will explore Anima and Animus, the unseen relationship blueprint within you that shapes your attractions and fixations. Have you ever met someone and felt an instant connection, as if you had known them forever? Or maybe you've been drawn to a person without fully understanding why. According to Carl Jung, these experiences are not just random feelings, they are deeply connected to your subconscious mind and the way it has shaped your inner relationship blueprint. Jung introduced the concepts of anima and animus to explain how our unconscious mind influences the people we are attracted to and how we form relationships. Anima represents the inner feminine aspect in men. Animus represents the inner masculine aspect in women. These are not about gender in a literal sense, but rather the qualities, traits, and energies that we associate with masculinity and femininity. Jung believed that both men and women have both aspects within them, but society and upbringing often lead us to suppress one side while embracing the other. So, how does this affect our relationships? Jung suggested that our anima or animus acts as an inner guide that shapes our unconscious expectations and desires in a romantic partner. This means that the people we fall for often reflect hidden aspects of ourselves. From a young age, we begin to form an image of the ideal partner in our subconscious mind. This image is shaped by many factors, including both early relationships, especially with parents or caregivers, societal expectations, personal experiences with love and attraction. Over time, our mind constructs a blueprint of what we subconsciously seek in a romantic partner, and this is heavily influenced by our anima or animus. For example, a man may have an anima that reflects nurturing, sensitivity, and emotional depth, leading him to be drawn to women who express these traits. A woman may have an animus that embodies strength, confidence, and decisiveness, causing her to be attracted to men who display these characteristics. But here's where it gets interesting. Sometimes, the people we are attracted to are not just about them. They are actually a reflection of something within us. Think back to a time when you felt magnetically drawn to someone. Maybe you couldn't explain it. You just felt like they understood you or that you were meant to meet. Jung's theory suggests that when this happens, it's not just about the other person. Instead, It's your anima or animus, recognizing something familiar, something that reflects a hidden part of yourself. Let's look at some examples. Example 1. The romantic ideal. A man who has grown up suppressing his emotional side may feel deeply drawn to a woman who is expressive, intuitive, and emotionally open. She represents his anima, a side of himself that he has not fully embraced. Example 2. The strong protector. A woman who has been taught to be soft-spoken and accommodating might feel an intense attraction to a strong, confident man who takes charge. He represents her animus, the assertive, bold side of her personality that she has not yet developed. Example 3. A love that feels fated. Have you ever met someone and thought, "This person is exactly what I've been looking for"? It could be because they match the inner template of your ideal partner, shaped by your anima or animus. But here's the catch. Sometimes, this attraction isn't about love or destiny. Sometimes, it's your unconscious mind trying to complete itself through another person. Jung believed that relationships are not just about finding the right person, they are about understanding yourself through the people you are drawn to. When someone deeply attracts us, it might be because they mirror an unexpressed part of ourselves that we need to integrate into our own personality. If you are drawn to someone's creativity, maybe it's because your own creativity is waiting to be expressed. If you are fascinated by someone's confidence, perhaps it's a sign that you need to develop more self-confidence within yourself. If you are obsessed with someone's mystery, maybe it's because you have neglected your own deeper side. This means that rather than just seeking fulfillment through another person, we should ask, what does this person reflect about me? Is this attraction a sign of something I need to develop within myself? How can I integrate these qualities instead of relying on someone else to provide them? Attraction can be beautiful. But Jung also warned about the dangers of projection. Projection happens when we idealize someone based on our anima or animus, seeing them not as they truly are, but as we unconsciously want them to be. Example: you meet someone and believe they are your soulmate because they match everything in your ideal partner template. But over time, you realize they are not who you imagined. They were simply a projection of your own subconscious desires. Example: you fall deeply in love with someone because they seem perfect. But later, you become disappointed when you see their flaws, because your mind had projected an unrealistic image onto them. This is why self-awareness is crucial in relationships. Instead of projecting an idealized fantasy onto someone, we should see them for who they truly are, while also recognizing what our attraction to them reveals about ourselves. Understanding anima and animus can transform the way you see relationships and attraction. Here's how. Instead of just admiring someone, ask yourself what qualities they represent in you. If you feel intensely drawn to someone, reflect on whether it's real attraction or just a projection of your subconscious desires. Use your relationships as a mirror to discover and integrate the parts of yourself that you may have ignored. Jung once said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." This means that real relationships should help us grow, not just fulfill a fantasy. By becoming aware of your inner relationship blueprint, you can break free from unconscious patterns and create deeper, more meaningful connections. In the next section, we will explore projection, how your mind tricks you into seeing qualities in others that actually belong to you. Have you ever felt intensely attracted to someone, even though you barely know them? Or maybe you felt strong hatred toward a person, without any solid reason. It's almost like your emotions are controlling you, making you see them as either perfect or unbearable. Why does this happen? Why do we sometimes idealize or despise people without truly understanding them? According to Carl Jung, this is due to a psychological phenomenon called projection, one of the most powerful ways our mind plays tricks on us. Jung believed that much of what we see in others is not about them at all. Instead, it is a reflection of our own inner world, our fears, desires, insecurities, and unresolved emotions. This means that when we admire, resent, or obsess over someone, we may not be responding to who they really are, but rather to what they represent to us subconsciously. Projection is a psychological defense mechanism, where we take emotions, traits, or unresolved issues within ourselves, and project them onto someone else. In other words, instead of recognizing these qualities within us, we attribute them to others. For example, if you admire someone's confidence, it might be because you wish you were more confident yourself. If you hate someone for being arrogant, it could be because you fear having arrogance within yourself. If you idealize someone as perfect, it may be because they match an unconscious image of what you desire, but feel you lack. This is why the people who trigger the strongest emotions in us, whether positive or negative, are often mirrors of our inner world. Projection can significantly affect the way we interact with people. It influences why we feel deeply drawn to some people, why we instantly dislike others without a real reason, why we repeat certain relationship patterns. Let's break down the two most common types of projection. 1. Positive projection. When we idealize someone. Have you ever met someone and thought, they are amazing, they are everything I've ever wanted? Maybe you barely know them, yet you feel an instant connection, almost like they are your soulmate. This is a classic case of positive projection. Instead of seeing the real person, your subconscious assigns them qualities that reflect your own hidden desires. Example 1. The perfect crush. You meet someone who is charismatic, charming, and intelligent. You idealize them, believing they are different from everyone else. But is it really about them? Or is it about your own longing to develop charisma and confidence within yourself? Example 2. The fantasy partner. You fall for someone who fits your idea of a dream partner. But over time, you realize they are not as perfect as you imagined. Why? Because your attraction was not based on who they truly were, but on the version of them your mind created. Positive projection can lead to disappointment when reality doesn't match our fantasies. That's why self-awareness is key. Before assuming someone is perfect, ask yourself, 1. Am I seeing this person clearly? Or am I projecting my desires onto them? 1. Do they truly have the qualities I admire? Or do I just want them to have those qualities? By recognizing when we project, we can build real meaningful connections, instead of chasing illusions. 2. Negative projection. When we dislike someone for no clear reason. Just as we project positive qualities onto others, we also project negative qualities, especially the ones we don't want to admit exist within us. Have you ever met someone and instantly disliked them even though they never did anything wrong? Maybe you tell yourself, I just don't like their energy, or there's something about them that annoys me. This might not be about them at all. It could be your own shadow self reflecting back at you. Example 1. The annoying person. You find someone's arrogance unbearable. But what if the real reason they bother you is that you secretly fear being seen as arrogant yourself? Example 2. The judgment trap. You judge someone for being too emotional or too aggressive. But deep down, it could be because you suppress those same emotions in yourself. Jung believed that what irritates us about others can reveal our own unresolved issues. Instead of reacting with anger or judgment, we should ask 1. Why does this person trigger such a strong reaction in me? Could it be because they represent a part of myself that I deny or suppress? 1. What can I learn about myself from this reaction? By answering these questions, we can turn negative projection into self-discovery. Now that you understand how projection works, how can you stop your mind from playing these tricks on you? Step 1. Recognize the pattern. The first step is awareness. Anytime you feel an extreme emotional reaction towards someone, whether admiration or dislike, pause and ask yourself, 1. Am I reacting to this person as they truly are? Or am I projecting something from within myself? Step 2. Own your feelings instead of blaming others for how they make you feel. Recognize that your emotions are coming from within you. On Solonol 1. If you admire someone, explore how you can develop those qualities in yourself. On Solonol 1. If you dislike someone, ask if they represent a trait you are avoiding in yourself. Step 3. See people for who they really are. Try to separate your perceptions from reality. Instead of assuming someone is amazing or terrible, take time to observe their real behavior. On Solonol 1. Build relationships based on reality, not projection. On Solonol 1. Recognize that no one is perfect, and no one is entirely bad either. By practicing this, you can gain control over your thoughts and emotions, creating healthier relationships with yourself and others. Imagine this. You're sitting at home, and suddenly, a name pops into your head, someone you haven't spoken to in months. A few moments later, your phone rings. It's them, or maybe you've been thinking about an old friend, and the next day, you unexpectedly bump into them on the street. Was it just a coincidence? Or was there something deeper at play? According to Carl Jung, these kinds of events are not random accidents. Instead, they are part of a fascinating phenomenon called synchronicity, meaningful coincidences that reveal a hidden connection between your inner world and the external world. Jung believed that these moments occur when our thoughts, emotions, and subconscious mind align with external events in a way that feels profoundly significant. But what does this really mean? And how can understanding synchronicity help you navigate your relationships and life decisions? Most people assume that events in life happen purely by cause and effect. One thing leads to another in a logical sequence. But Jung proposed a different perspective. What if some events are connected not by logic but by meaning? This is the essence of synchronicity. Events that have no direct cause and effect relationship, but are deeply connected in a meaningful way. For example, on Solon, you dream about someone, and the next day they message you out of the blue. On Solon, you're struggling with a decision, and suddenly, you see a book, quote, or random conversation that gives you the exact answer you need. On Solon, you think of a song, turn on the radio, and that exact song is playing. Jung believed that these moments are not just coincidences. They are signs that your subconscious mind and the external world are in sync. Synchronicity is most noticeable when it involves important people, emotions, or decisions in your life. Here's how it can influence different areas. 1. Relationships and attraction. Have you ever met someone and felt like it was meant to be? Maybe you kept running into them in unexpected places, or you found strange connections between your lives. Jung believed that synchronicity plays a huge role in relationships. When you keep thinking about someone, and suddenly they appear in your life, it might mean that your subconscious is guiding you toward an important connection. But be careful, just because something feels fated, doesn't always mean it's right for you. Synchronicity is a signal, not a guarantee. It's up to you to interpret what it means. 2. Life decisions and guidance. Sometimes, when you're struggling with a problem, the universe seems to send you an answer. Maybe you're unsure about taking a new job, and then you meet someone who gives you unexpected advice that helps you decide. Synchronicity often appears when you are at a crossroads in life. Your subconscious mind is constantly processing information, and might lead you to certain clues that feel like they were placed in your path. Most people ignore synchronicity, or dismiss it as random luck, but Jung believed that the more you pay attention, the more you will notice meaningful patterns. Here's how you can use it. Monsalon Luns. Notice repeated patterns. If the same name, symbol, or event keeps appearing, ask yourself what it might mean. Monsalon Luns. Trust your intuition. If something feels too meaningful to be random, take a closer look. Monsalon Luns. Write down synchronicities. Keeping track of them can reveal surprising connections over time. Jung famously said, "Synchronicity is an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see." In other words, the universe is always giving you signals. You just need to learn how to listen. Now that we understand how synchronicity can shape our thoughts, let's move on to the final step. decoding your thoughts, and using Jung's ideas for practical self-growth. So far, we've explored Jung's most powerful theories: the shadow self, the hidden part of you that shapes your thoughts; onsolon, Anima, and Animus, how your subconscious influences attraction; onsolon, projection, when you see your own emotions in others; onsolon, the synchronicity, the meaningful coincidences that guide your life. But the real question is, how do you use this knowledge to take control of your thoughts and emotions? Jung's ideas aren't just theories, they are practical tools for self-awareness and personal growth. Here's how you can apply them in 3 simple steps. Step 1. Self-reflection. What are you feeling? Whenever you can't stop thinking about someone, take a moment to pause and reflect. Instead of just letting the thought control you, ask yourself, onsolon, what emotions come up when I think about this person? Onsolon, am I feeling admiration, frustration, longing, or something else? Do they remind me of someone from my past? By identifying the core emotion, you begin to see whether this is about the person or something deeper within yourself. Step 2. Deep analysis. What is your subconscious trying to tell you? Once you recognize the emotion, the next step is to analyze it. Jung believed that our unconscious mind communicates through symbols, emotions, and patterns. Ask yourself, onsolon, is this thought linked to my fears or desires? Onsolon, does this person reflect a quality I admire or suppress in myself? Onsolon, am I projecting something onto them? For example, if you admire someone's confidence, maybe it's because you need to work on your own self-assurance. If you resent someone's success, maybe it's a sign that you need to pursue your own ambitions instead of feeling jealous. Step 3. Taking action. How can you use this insight? Now that you have reflected and analyzed, it's time to take action. Onsolon, if you admire someone, find ways to develop those qualities in yourself. Onsolon, if you resent someone, ask yourself why it bothers you, and work on healing that insecurity. Onsolon, if synchronicity keeps showing you a name or sign, consider what your subconscious might be guiding you toward. Jung famously said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. This means that if you don't consciously explore your thoughts, emotions, and patterns, they will continue to influence you, without you even realizing it. By using these techniques, you can transform repetitive thoughts into powerful self-discovery. Instead of feeling trapped by your mind, you can take control, grow, and create the life you want. Thinking about someone again and again isn't just about them, it's about you. Your mind is trying to show you something deeper, something important, someone. By exploring your subconscious, you can unlock hidden parts of yourself. By recognizing patterns, you can gain clarity on your emotions and relationships. Someone. By taking action, you can transform obsessive thoughts into self-awareness. In the end, it's not just about understanding why someone is on your mind, it's about understanding yourself.